Hello YouTube, this is Frugal and this is the Frooglesim news for today, Sunday, May the 22nd. First up, the reality expansion for Coronado's Bonanza on X-Plane. Now this is from SimCoders and it is their latest reality expansion. Think of SimCoders reality expansions as what you need to transform Coronado's aircraft on X-Plane into something closer to A2A's level of simulation and immersion on FSX. It of course requires the Coronado V35 Bonanza and it adds realistic stalls, climb speeds, cruise speeds, weights and balance and taxi. Also brings in a complex damage system based on real world data that teaches you how to correctly manage the aircraft. Has a realistic engine simulation including prop animations, fuel consumption, cow flaps drag, the oil system, the fuel system, and much more. The expansion also brings in built-in tips while you're flying to provide feedback on your actions so you can fly and manage the aircraft better, and of course, it also includes a full aircraft pre-flight walk-around. The price is $19.99 from the xplane.org store, link in the show notes below. And once again, got to point out again, you do need to have the Coronado V35 Bonanza for X-Plane to make this work. Sticking with X-Plane, V-Flight Air's Cherokee. V-Flight Air have released two Cherokees for X-Plane this week, the 140 Classic and the 140 Original. The only difference between the two is that the Classic is equipped for IFR, including the X-Plane 430 GPS and the S-Tech 55X autopilot. The Cherokees have been tested by real Cherokee pilots and feature a custom engine startup that models startup operations based on ambient temperature and oil temperature and so on. It has a custom prop disc animation, includes X-Checklist compatible checklists, a custom sound set, and a pop-up menu in the sim for optimizing and reconfiguring the aircraft. Also has fully operational fuses, custom lighting, vibration effects, and a pretty cool visual model featuring 4K resolution textures. V-Flight Air's Cherokee, each version is $22.95, but if you buy one, you can get the other version for an additional $10. More information at the xplane.org store link in the show notes below. And still with X-Plane, Aerosoft Airport Zurich version 2 this week. Now the video you're watching is from Red Piper 1, it's linked in the show notes below. And this is an update and relaunch of the Zurich Scenery from Aerosoft developed by Pad Labs. It models of course Zurich Airport, which is the largest airport in Switzerland. Features new buildings and objects, transparent boarding bridges, updated taxiways and parking, including parking for the A380, and also features static aircraft, including of course an Emirates A380. It has a fully remodeled Terminal 2, photorealistic ground textures at 0.5 meter per pixel, animated radar and windsocks, animated vehicle traffic, a custom mesh for the surrounding area, all the usual checklist of items that you would expect to find in a modern, up-to-date, high-quality scenery pack. Has been optimized for performance. It is $27.99, but if you already own version 1 for X-Plane, then you can get a 50% discount. More information at the xplane.org store link in the show notes below. And again, the video is from Red Piper 1, whose channel you really should check out. His video is linked below as well. Next up, and not related to any of the big three sims to be honest, Aerofly version 2, brand new sim, has made early access on Steam this week. It is the PC version of the mobile sim that is currently available for iOS and Android. Now the original was actually quite a lot of fun, but it was definitely a light sim. So it's very tricky to explain that, but think of a light sim as you don't have fully functional systems in every aircraft, and you don't have a ton of add-ons that you can add on to do, for example, a fully loaded flight in a PMDG level aircraft. That said though, Aerofly version 1 did have an amazing flight model, and I spent quite a few hours messing around with it, in particular in the gliders. That's the one thing that made Aerofly version 1 stick out for me. Everything in version 2 is updated, particularly the graphics, which now uses global elevation data and aerial images to pull off some pretty cool visuals, as you can see from the video. The flight model claims to be an advanced flight dynamics model, including realistic multi-body simulation, wing flex, and accurate stall modeling. More than a dozen aircraft are included, covering everything from old military aircraft to current military, as well as GA aircraft, gliders of course, and passenger jets. It does not model the entire planet, but Aerofly version 2 does have over 180 fully detailed airports. Now in a bit of a swing at Dovetail, who are of course launching Dovetail's flight school this week, Aerofly version 2 also claimed to ship with 21 fully interactive and detailed flying lessons. Early access of course, which means expect bugs, expect incompleteness. It is available however for $49.99 from Steam. Next up, over in the world of DCS, the DCS F5E Tiger is now available for pre-order. This aircraft was developed by Belsim Tech and is a model of the light tactical multi-role fighter developed by Northrop in the 1970s. It is armed with two 20mm M39A3 cannons and features as well 5 additional weapon hardpoints. It claims to have a professional flight model, 6 degrees of freedom cockpit, a fully modeled weapon system, and the early access when it becomes available. You can pre-order, but I don't think you actually get to download it just yet. But that's going to feature single missions and training in the early access with a campaign coming later. The pre-sale or pre-order price is $47.99, and that price is going to be rising soon after launch to $59.99. More information at the Digital Combat Simulator link in the show notes below. And finally, in the world of FSX, or more importantly, Prepared, Flight Sim Labs A320X. Now, I'm going to go on a little bit of an editorial here. I've not covered the Flight Sim Labs A320 in the past. Some developers take an extremely long time to get their products to market, and they use their marketing teams to push and hype the product to the max during development, and I try not to get involved in that kind of activity. So typically, with a long-running product, you'll hear me announce it, you'll hear me talk about when it goes in or out of beta, and I'll talk about the release, and that's it. The time might actually be fast approaching for me to start talking about Flight Sim Labs Airbus. The reason why is Flight Sim Labs announced on Facebook that they are pretty much done with beta testing of this aircraft and are about to produce release candidate installers of this extremely long-awaited A320X for Prepared. They said on Facebook that they expect to go through this process 2 or 3 times prior to release. They will then release version 1, but that's going to be a limited release. It's going to be basically an early access program that they claim will be available to a limited small group of customers on a first-come, first-served basis. Now, once the early adopters are happy and the early adopter program is finished, they will then focus on what they call, in quotes, getting the entertainment level A320X out for Prepared, with a pro version following, and again I quote, sometime later. Now, the video you're watching is from Flight Sim Labs, and it does take the aircraft fully from cold and dark to takeoff, and it's probably the most detailed video we've seen of this highly anticipated study level Airbus. So I urge you all, check out the video link in the show notes below, watch the video, and maybe leave a comment, tell me what you think. That's it for this week's show. I do have a bit of a croaky voice thanks to Def Leppard last night. As always, if I missed something, please leave me a comment in the show notes below, and until next time, I'll see you all very soon.